Alright, hello everybody. It's the voice from the shadows. So, tonight I'm going to touch on a touchy subject which everybody has an opinion about, and I understand that. I'm not going to go into detail about why this stream is being what I'm not going to go into detail of why I'm making this stream, but there have been certain events lately that has brought this to the limelight again. And I think what needs to be done is I think a lot of people need to actually sit down and think. So let's have a little powwow, shall we? Now, I do believe that everybody has the right to bear arms. I do believe that people have the right. Now, when I say that, I do believe that the amendment should be altered. It should be changed. I do believe that people have the right to bear arms as long as they are responsible. I don't think taking away guns from everybody is going to stop the problem. I've heard a lot of arguments about Australia and the United Kingdom and Ireland, and I've heard, stories about the countries in Europe, about their gun control laws. First, let's start with the United Kingdom. Let's start with Ireland and Australia. What makes these countries unique is they are surrounded by bodies of water. So it makes importing of guns or smuggling of guns harder. It doesn't prevent all gun violence, but it does help reduce gun violence. Countries that are part of the European Union were invaded in World War II. They were literally dismantled. Now, during the rebuilding of Europe after the war, a lot of things changed. A lot of things changed. But because they worked so closely together, and they still do work very closely together, they are able to pass laws working together. Now, I'm not saying that all their laws are perfect, because they're not. But we have seen that gun violence still happens in Europe. We do still see that. Now, the United States is very unique, and I'm going to use that because we are unique. We have Mexico on our borders. We have Cuba near our borders. We have Canada near our borders. We also have massive amounts of imports coming through our ports every day. True fact. There are not enough port authorities to actually search every little piece of cargo. There's not enough. Now, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, I do watch a lot of crime TV, on Discovery and A&E and whatnot. But from my understanding, port officials usually only open a couple of crates. If they match the manifest on their clipboard, they continue on. Like I said, gun violence still happens in countries where there are strict gun control laws, and they don't always work. Yes, they've reduced the amount of gun violence, but they haven't stopped it. Now let's continue on to the Second Amendment. Like I said, I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe people have the right to own a gun. I believe they have the right to conceal it if they have a permit. But what I think needs to change is that we need to get rid of, what's the word I'm looking for? The confidentiality between a doctor and a patient, and actually allow psychiatrists or therapists and whatnot to connect to a national database. I'm not saying that they should have the right to tell everybody what this person did or what this person is going through. What I am saying is that there should be a national database for disturbed individuals. So when they buy a gun and do the background check, it'll show up. Now, I'm not saying every individual that gets therapy is disturbed, but there are warning flags. There are issues that can point to a problem that could be reduced. I also believe that if you are a gun owner, it should be a federal law that if you want to own a gun, you need to have proper training. You need to have a safe for that weapon. And you need to be the only one with access to that weapon. I've heard arguments of what if somebody breaks in? What if somebody comes at me? That argument is mute. And I will tell you why that argument is mute. If you are home, then you should be allowed to have your weapon on your nightstand. You should be able to have that weapon on your person. But you should never leave a gun out in the open unattended, nor should you make it easily accessible for somebody to get the ammunition for that weapon. I've heard arguments going, oh, yeah, but gun control, you know, that's just stepping on our rights. No, it's not. I'm not talking about taking your gun away. I'm talking about you being a responsible gun owner. And if you can't be a responsible gun owner, if you can't go out and buy a $300 safe to keep your gun secure, you don't need to own a gun. You don't need to own one. Because you're not grown up enough to deserve it. Just because it is your right to own a weapon doesn't mean you deserve that weapon. You don't. I don't think anyone under the age of 18 should ever be allowed to have a gun without adult supervision. I also believe that everybody, regardless of their age, if they want to own a gun or be around a gun, actually take gun safety courses. And I think it should be mandatory. I think if you want to own a gun, you need to have a certificate of gun safety. And if it has to cost $300, let it cost $300. If it has to cost $500, let it cost $500. I don't think we should cater anymore to the whiners who are more worried about having a piece of metal and putting that piece of metal above the safety of other people. I don't. We need to stop listening to the fanatics out there spreading their tantrums all over, when being a responsible gun owner should be required of anybody wanting to own a deadly weapon. And if you can't agree with that, like I said, you don't need to own a gun. You can go away. I also believe that there should be stiff penalties for gun owners that have easy access to their weapons. They are just as responsible for somebody getting injured as the person who pulled the trigger. I don't believe they should get a lighter sentence. I don't believe that they should be let off scot-free. Parents need to be accountable. Let me rephrase that. Adults need to be responsible and reliable for the actions of anyone, especially a minor, that takes their weapon. If you leave your weapon unattended and somebody takes that weapon, it's your fault. You're responsible. Plain and simple. And once again, if you can't see the fact in that, you don't need to own a gun. You don't need to be near one. You need to literally never be near one. Sorry about that. Now, I know I'm probably going to get hate from this video. Okay? Fine. Be hateful to me. But it will show you how incompetent and how irresponsible you are as a gun owner. That you value a piece of metal over the safety of others. I'm not saying that we should get rid of every gun. I do believe that we should have responsible gun ownership laws. And that is the rant for me. I hope you enjoyed this. And I will come out of the woodwork eventually.